woman who just went online bragging about being the reason 475 people were just arrested. It didn't go the way that you thought, did it? Because the way that you were so happy to share with the world voluntarily that you were the one that contacted ICE, that got that Hyundai plant that was in the middle of being constructed completely shut down, and over 400 people arrested, most of them being Koreans, which you seemed kind of confused about until you realized that Hyundai is owned by Koreans, and that the reason they had so many people from other countries here was because they knew they were going to have to train Americans to do this job, because all of their instructions from Korea were in Korean. So they got approval to send people here to the United States to construct their massive facility in the way that you were like, now look, there's over 475 jobs that are now going to be available for people in Georgia, because they weren't giving these jobs to Georgians. That's right, they couldn't give these jobs to people in Georgia because none of them spoke the language. In her narrative of bringing 475 jobs to people in Georgia are making the world laugh, because anyone who understands that they were just constructing this facility, this was going to be a facility that would have given nearly 9,000 jobs to people in Georgia. She had zero concept of that. All she saw were people from other countries in her state, specifically in her town, and it upset her so much that she contacted ICE and said that she was doing it because they had unsafe working environments and they weren't getting paid enough. So she contacted ICE. Because of her fight for the people of Georgia, they have lost all of their people who were going to train them for the jobs that this facility would have brought. The owners of this facility, the investors, the people paying for it and bringing all of these jobs into the state of Georgia are now threatening to can it all. That's right, they are going to shut down this construction site and they are not going to continue building their facility that would have brought almost 9,000 jobs to her state. Would have not known any of this had she not come online and bragged about it. Oh, and she's also running for Congress.
I don't think William Tecumseh Sherman did as much damage to the state of Georgia as that woman who called ICE on Hyundai and their employees, had them all detained, and now South Korea is throwing a massive fit. They sent their own citizens down to train Americans so that they could be fully functional in this factory. Trump and MAGA complain all the time. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Are overseas. Bring them back to America. And then when we finally do, some dumbass, bitch-ass idiot calls ICE and has these people detained. Now South Korea has sent a plane, picked up all their asses, and who knows if they're ever coming back. This is going to take 8,000 plus jobs away from the state of Georgia, and possibly many more, and all this manufacturing that they would have had, all the money this would have generated for the state of Georgia and our country is now potentially gone, and that may just be that little portion. There could be more significant backlash coming from South Korea, Hyundai, any other South Korean company who was thinking of bringing jobs over to America is going to think twice now, because some idiot decided to call ICE. They decided to call ICE on these people and have 400 plus human beings who have done nothing illegal detained. Good job. And this woman is running, I believe, for Congress. Yeah, have fun with that. Republican, Democrat, whatever. I can't imagine anybody in the state of Georgia is on board with what that foolish person did. So, yeah, Sherman may have burned his way to Atlanta, but you set Georgia ablaze as well.
This week marks one of the biggest political fallouts. I'm talking about Sarah Branham. Sarah Branham, I think she is a candidate of, she is running for Senate, probably in Georgia, I understand. But she is one of the whistleblowers of what happened to a couple Koreans, almost 300 Koreans who were working in this battery factory, called Hyundai, right? Now, this is what is happening. This is a perfect example of entitlement, right? And to think by going and reporting a couple of people that are working in a given place is right for you. Well, it's confirmed that the people that they sent some ICE raids after she whistleblowed for them to be go and detained. They later on came and find out that these people were documented workers, yet they called ICE raids on them. And she received backlash. I saw everyone complaining about her idea. And guess what? She was vying for a Senate. Guess who is not going to get that? Because that's a xenophobic idea that she displayed over there. And everyone is talking about this. Brothers and sisters, I'm inviting you to watch this video. It is really important that we discuss about these issues because you get to understand the entitlement that these type of people are. And then she is saying that there is a lot of tax cuts to this type of people. Well, these are just people that are trying to find something out of what they're doing. And it's crazy because she thinks that by doing that, she's going to earn some tickets closer to Mr. Donald Trump for all doing this. But all in all, I want us to watch this video. I'll be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. So brothers and sisters, watch and I'll be back.
Please watch this.
I just want to say thank you to all the numerous people who have trolled my phone and my campaign website and made threats. You're really showing me exactly what I thought you were anyway.
In case you somehow haven't been seeing all of this, that's Tori Branham. She is a woman from Georgia who has proudly online claimed to be the one who called ICE agents on the Hyundai plant in her state. That call resulted in hundreds of South Koreans being detained by ICE. Now, she is currently fighting for her life in her comment sections and on her videos trying to defend what she did. So let's hear more about her justifications, shall we?
But let me be clear, most of y'all don't even know the difference in what Congress and Senate is. You don't know when the primary is, and you also don't realize that I'm in a hard Republican district. 22 counties, only one is Democrat. So if you're going to threaten that I'll lose my race because y'all want to cry on the internet and harass people, well, I simply won't.
Right. So what Tori is so confidently saying is it really doesn't matter how she behaves, what she says, or what she does. She's not going to lose because she's in a hard red district. And you know what? As somebody who lives in South Carolina, I'm going to tell you, she's got a point. There are people who will vote Republican no matter what. So she may not lose because of this. In fact, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who think what she did was wonderful. But once Georgia starts to feel the effects of this happening, everything that they were doing to prepare it, to build it, to get it ready has halted. Once Georgia starts feeling those effects, it's going to be astronomically devastating to that area. And at that point, Tori, folks may just not want to vote for you.
This lady gave me great advertisement. I'm just glad she knew how to spell correctly.
Insulting folks wanting to be an elected official is always a good way to go. But you know what? Given our current administration, apparently that's the way the right operates now. So
What it should have said is Tori Branham believes in following the law.
oh, is that what it should have said?
Yes, my face is all over Reddit, Korean news, TikTok. I'm getting harassed, and I'm unbothered because I stand on my truth.
Claiming to be unbothered while her phone is visibly shaking. Like her hand is shaking right now.
So y'all need to learn when you're going to harass a political candidate exactly what that means. And you're really just doing me a favor with the advertisement.
And you know what? If even bad publicity is good for you as a political candidate, I think that speaks to how damaged our system truly is. See my previous point about how some people will vote, especially here in the South, for Republicans, no matter what.
But another thing is, I said I contacted ICE and I spoke to the agent. I didn't say I was the sole reason that the raid happened, but I'll double down. I'm glad it happened because I probably saved lives of people that worked out there.
Let's be honest, Tori, the well-being of the people working out there on that plant were never at any point your concern. That is not why you called. And you know good and well, deep down in your heart, it had nothing to do with your motivation to call ICE on them. You were simply scrambling to try and justify your xenophobia, your hatred, and your racism.
And like I said, we put a $5 billion investment into that factory and gave them $32 million in tax cuts, and Georgians were never hired, and contractors, good contract labor was overlooked for illegals.
No, Tori, the factory is currently being built. which means, of course, Hyundai has sent people over that already work for Hyundai. Oh, and are people who were there subcontractors, because Hyundai doesn't do all the work themselves. Georgians were going to be hired once the plant was up and ready to be operational. But now, because of you, that may not even happen. So Hyundai and the illegals had nothing to do with Georgians being overlooked for jobs. They were going to be hired when the time came. But because of you and your racist, xenophobic meddling, now Georgians may have lost their jobs. And that one's on you.
Hi, as someone who worked on the Blue Oval Ford plant, Blue Oval City up here in Stanton, Tennessee, kind of, in between Jackson and Memphis, I stayed there for about a year last year working on this project. And let me tell you something, a woman who is claiming that she called ICE on that Hyundai plant in Georgia, this is going to be so much bigger than just Hyundai. Okay? Ford itself, the most American car manufacturer you can think of, every single bit of our machinery was set up and programmed by South Koreans. The engineering of the building, the engineering of the machines, every bit of it was done by SK Engineering out of South Korea. Yes, the same SK that is part of SKT T1 Telecom, the big league team. Yeah, Faker, this guy, their engineering branches who designed and set up these machines. What they do is for the years that the plant is being built, because South Korea is heavily invested in our electric vehicle manufacturing and production. So what they do is they design the machines, send them over here, we set them up, millwrights, everything else. We set the iron, we set the building up, we get everything up. And then they come over, set up the machines, and then train American workers how to run the machines. This woman not only just cost Georgia billions of dollars with this plant, because I highly doubt that South Korea will send their workers back. If they do, it's going to be under very strict rules for the Trump administration. If you don't think that word will get around to every other car manufacturer, because it's not just Hyundai. It is Ford, it's Chevy, it's Nissan, Mazda, Toyota, every single one of them. The machines are designed, installed, and set up by South Koreans. It's the biggest, when you think of car plants, it's intertwined. So no, you idiots have not only just cost Georgia billions, you've created a massive diplomatic problem that this administration will not be able to handle right. And on top of that, there's a good chance that any of these other car plants that have gone up in the last few years that haven't had their machines set up yet, odds are you've just fucked with those jobs as well. You are talking about tens of thousands of American jobs. Poof, up in smoke. So congratulations, MAGA. Your racism is once again going to cost us billions of dollars because you guys can't get over the fact that people who aren't white are better than you.
Yeah, Sunday morning, I saw a video from that woman who was running for Congress. She's a MAGA Republican. She's running for Congress to represent the district where that Hyundai plant is located. And she was bragging about calling ICE and tipping them off. That there were all these South Korean workers on site building that plant. And she was like bragging about that it resulted in the largest ICE raid ever, and the largest number of arrests at a single ICE raid ever. And seemingly completely oblivious to the fact that that could completely screw the economy for the congressional district that she's running to represent. I was just, racism and bigotry are expensive. They're very, very expensive. Racism and bigotry are very expensive, as this community in Georgia is about to find out. And the woman who's responsible for tipping off ICE, who is bragging about tipping off ICE, is a Republican running for Congress to represent the district where that plant is located. completion of that plant has now been delayed dramatically, like years. And South Korea had invested $350 billion in that plant to employ Americans in manufacturing. And now that's not going to happen anytime soon. But knowing Republican voters, people whose lives are going to be negatively impacted will probably still vote for her because she got them foreigners out. We're not going to survive these people. We are not going to survive Trump's MAGA base. We're just not. I mean, we will, but you know what I'm saying. I'm trying not to be so doom and gloom, you know. I mean, we'll get through this. I don't know what this country's going to look like by the time we come out on the other side. Jesus, man. And that's after, last week, all kinds of diplomacy with South Korea's leadership, being here in the White House, in the Oval Office, meeting with the president. And we turn around and do this. And she's bragging about it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
I really don't understand the ICE raid on the Hyundai power plant. It's so comically illogical that my first thought was somebody close to Trump from within his organization is trying to sabotage him by giving stupid instructions to ICE. Because one of the main reasons for tariffs is to encourage foreign companies to operate in US soil. And not for nothing, that's a valid way to use tariffs. All my liberal friends became the most obnoxious version of someone who's taken Econ 101, tariffs get passed straight to the consumer. No, sometimes companies like Hyundai decide to build a factory in the USA to get around the tariffs. I'm not bringing that up to say the tariffs were a win. I don't know what the net effect of that was. But Hyundai building a plant in the USA to hire US workers to produce batteries for them to sell, that is literally the textbook scenario of success with a tariff. Literally exactly what you want. And then he raids it with ICE and gets rid of the people. The Koreans were there to set up the factory, which is harder than working at the factory, right? Is setting it up for the first time, and then train US workers to do the job. I tend to give people credit. Trump winning the 2016 election, a lot of you are too young to remember this. In 2015, Fox News and the Republican Party did not like him. He had to beat the Republicans, and then he had to beat Hillary Clinton to become president for the first time. So I've never thought that he was dumb. I don't think he's a mastermind, 4D chess, I've seen those memes, his supporters, I don't think that. But he's not dumb. But now I'm thinking that he might actually be. And everything else was a crazy, happy, lucky accident. That's very hard to believe. I think he was smart, and now his mind is starting to go. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. What did he think was going to happen? Right or wrong, I can't even understand what his thought process was.
Charlie Kirk had this to say while he was visiting South Korea last week.
Okay, everybody, I'm here in Seoul, South Korea. As you can see, they have these inflatable cushy chairs. Everyone is reading. This would last about 35 seconds in most American cities.
Charlie Kirk saying we should be more like South Korea. I find it absolutely hilarious how just a couple of days later, this lady, Tory Burnham, I don't know, I can't say her last name any better than she can say Hyundai, proceeds to call ICE and has close to 500 people working on the construction of a brand new Hyundai plant in Georgia, one of only 2 in the country, causing them to be detained. And we know that at least 300 are South Koreans that are currently on their way back to South Korea. So this lady single-handedly, at best, has delayed the opening of this plant. At worst, if it was me and I was the South Korean president, I would say, you know what? I'm not going to open that plant there. And oh, by the way, I'm going to close the only other plant that's in America. Because understand this, the majority of Hyundai's profits don't come from Americans. And then the president saying, maybe we'll just get some people to teach us how to make those batteries. Fuck no, don't teach them. That's proprietary information. Absolutely not. One woman with one phone call has potentially cost Georgians 8,000 jobs, not to mention all of the other potential economic stimulus that comes from these jobs. Good job, lady. Good job. It has to be exhausting being racist.
Here's how Korea is reacting to the ICE raids at the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia.
We need construction to cease immediately.
And this raid is the largest single-site operation that DHS has conducted in history. Of the over 450 people arrested right now, around 300 of them are Korean nationals. And this has come as quite a shock to South Korea right now because Koreans are usually not the target of ICE raids. A Korean newspaper even had this cartoon right here where they are depicting Trump as a sort of a bully. It starts off by saying that the US was begging Korea for more investments, and now they're arresting hundreds of South Koreans on a business trip. Literally just last month, South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung met with President Trump and they reaffirmed their alliance as well as business relationships. The US has been pressuring South Korea to invest billions of dollars into the American industry, and they were ramping up this pressure in the past few months. Korea recently agreed to a $350 billion investment into the American economy. And part of that investment was this Hyundai LG factory that was set to open next year. This facility was going to be Georgia's biggest industrial investment in the state's history, and it was supposed to help boost the state's economy. Officials are saying that a lot of these employees were actually South Korean nationals there on a temporary visa for a business trip who have been sent to help finish building electric car battery factories. First of all, South Korea's foreign ministry came out immediately to say that they are expressing concern and regret over Washington's decision to do this, and that this will send a chilling effect to the US in terms of business. I mean, President Trump has vowed to arrest the worst of the worst criminals with ICE raids, so I think Korea is shocked that this happened at one of their biggest factories in the US. I mean, the US is coming out and saying that they did this raid because they think the employees are there illegally or have overstayed their visas, and investigations are still currently ongoing. Now, LG is ordering all of its employees that are on business trips in the US to immediately return to Korea, and they're going to reconsider sending anyone else on business trips to the US right now.
I highly support American people to vote for Tory Brennan. She's the kind of leader this country needs. Think about what she just did. A giant factory came to Georgia, took billions of dollars in tax break and promised jobs. But instead, hiring local workers just to fill up with the foreign labor. Tory Brennan did not stay silent. She stood up, she called ICE, and action was taken. 475 people were arrested, and suddenly, the factory shut it down. I think this is the real leadership. That is someone who is not afraid to say what others were not. If a company wants to come over here and take land and take subsidies and build their business, then they need to hire Americans. They need to follow American law. If they don't, they better get out. And that's why I think American people should support her, send her to Congress, send her to Senate, because she's fighting for something real. Tory Brennan is gonna make Georgia great again. Trust me on that. Jesus.
What does Tory have to do with this? Well, Tory took to her TikTok account or her Facebook account and announced to the world that she was the one who made the call to ICE.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. It's modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people, because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
So to be clear, Tory lists the reasons why she thinks those workers needed to have ICE called on them. Those are her opinions. They aren't facts. She doesn't know any of these people. She doesn't know the amount of money that they're making. She doesn't know if they are there illegally. She doesn't know if they are staying 5 people deep in one spot. She doesn't know any of those things. Those are talking points used by racist white supremacists in this country. I believe when you don't have the facts of a certain situation, you should mind your own business, especially if what you are planning to do in regards to said situation can be life altering for that individual. That's what Tory should have done in this situation. She should have minded her own business. But you see, it is my opinion that Tory suffers from Trump derangement syndrome. And she saw this opportunity to bring a spotlight to her. Hopefully, King Cankles would notice her if she got enough attention to come her way, and it would shine a light on her run for District 12. And King Cankles would be so proud that he would give her his blessing. Yeah, you see, Tory was hoping to bring some traffic to her social media pages. She has a social media page over there on Instagram, and she has a social media following over there on the Facebook. Tory is also an ambassador, I guess, for this made-up organization, Veterans for America First. Is that a legit organization? I took a moment to Google them. They have a Twitter page, and they are also known as Veterans for Trump. And yeah, they've got some type of news thing going on. Anywho, Tory posted over there on her Facebook account, maybe Hyundai could hire the 1,000 people that were laid off at International Paper. So she got those people arrested through ICE, and so now she still thinks she's a savior and she did a job well done, that these people will now be able to get work. In addition to the video that she posted, she also made a post over on Facebook, and this is what she says in the post. So I wasn't going to say anything about this, but let me be clear. Yes, I did report the Hyundai plant to ICE, and yes, I did talk to an agent. I also sent him contact info for people that had evidence. I know there were multiple people involved. I never told the news outlets that I took sole responsibility. I can't help how they frame a conversation. I have gotten hate mail from all over the country with people telling me to die or that I should be in fear. I serve this country and I'll go down with the ship before someone silences me. I've been very vocal about illegal immigration from the very start of the Biden administration and have been to the border 3 times. So I don't know why anybody is shocked. It takes 2 seconds to scroll my page. I'm pretty sure some of these are paid agitators because they're popping up from all over the country. What they're not understanding is that there were more Koreans apprehended than anyone else. No criminal charges have been filed as of yet, and from what I understand, there were some working in slave conditions and were brought here against their will, allegedly. This isn't about discrimination. It's about slave labor and illegal workers. Like I said, it costs you nothing to mind your own business. But she's right. Her page is full of posts about illegal immigration. Illegal immigration that's full of mis- and disinformation. For instance, she made this post, 22,638 migrant children found, and the left won't acknowledge it because they're too busy being mad at Trump. What the media won't tell you is that thousands of children went missing after being handed over to unvetted sponsors under the Biden administration. And why was that, Tory? Why was that? Why were thousands of children handed over to the Biden administration without their parents, Tori? It's because they were separated from their parents under the first Trump administration, Tori. But moving on, when they were brought here illegally, DHS did not properly vet the sponsors that they handed them over to. Some were handed over to cartel members. These weren't small numbers. More than 43,000 kids simply disappeared off the government's radar and never showed up for their asylum hearings. 233,000 children were never given hearings to begin with. Why does the number keep changing in your post, Tori? Is it 22,000? Is it 43,000? Or is it 233,000, Tori? This year, President Trump's team launched an unprecedented nationwide effort to track them down, going door to door, working case by case. They've been locating children who were abandoned, exploited, or trafficked. The results are stunning. 22,638 children have been found so far. Think about that. These are real children who were lost in a broken system. Many were in dangerous situations, trapped in forced labor, placed with strangers, or living in conditions no child should endure. The Trump administration is not only exposing the failure that allowed this to happen, but actually working to protect the most vulnerable.
So as I said earlier, the entitlement that she has the audacity to go and report this group of people that were working in this battery factory. And you want to know more about Tori Branham. Tori Branham, she's a Republican congressional candidate. And she is a self-proclaimed whistleblower behind the September 2025 Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's the ICE, raid on a joint Hyundai LG Energy Solution battery factory in Georgia. The raid resulted in the detention of over 300 South Koreans. Now, first, this lady, Branham, what did she do? She instigated the ICE raid. Branham alleges that she worked with local union representatives to alert federal authorities to the presence of undocumented immigrants at the facility. ICE ultimately detained over 445 people at the site, which is approximately 300 whom were South Korean workers. Also, she has publicized her involvement in the events of platforms like Instagram. You could see the video. She has also appeared to use social media to attack Korean and Latino workers at the plant, accusing them of being illegals. And this is where my point comes in. Right now, you understand that when people voted for Mr. Donald Trump, they voted for the situation is that they voted because they thought that the people that were here probably are Latinos, all these group of people that were coming and working on the farms and working in these places were taking their jobs. Well, after all these things happened, nobody wanted to go to the farm and work in these places. What did this mean to these people? This meant that the workers has to leave, and when workers leave, there are no people to work in these places. And that's where we saw immigration crisis. I think somewhere by the end of last year, the ICE raids were so much crazy, right? And everyone was happy and everyone was laughing at this group of people. When these people left, there's so much problem that came, right? And Branham went, whistleblowed, and ICE agents came and detained 475 workers, whom 300 were South Koreans, right? And people understand because she seemed to be talking at the mercy of these Koreans, trying to say that they are paid poor wages, trying to say that they're working in poor conditions. Let me tell you, black folks have worked in these places with no pay, right? Talking about slave wage, they didn't get any slave wage. All they got was sweeps to work every day. And so all these groups of people don't understand what really black people went through. And so when I see people complaining about all these issues that are going on, I'm like, do you really understand what black folks had to go through, right? For you to see the United States be what it is today, you need to understand there's so much consequences and there's so many years that black people worked for free without even being given nothing. And she started gaslighting everybody, she thought that everyone will side with her. And there is also an aspect of cloud chasing. She thinks that doing that will drive people to our socials and people will go and check her out and people will vote for her. She made a big mistake, because if I understand the model that she was using is the same model with Mr. Donald Trump. And when she's using the same model, and the same model is the same model that has messed people, it means that people are not going to be voting for you, because people have seen you as a person who likes gaslighting people. People have seen you as one of the problems of the United States today and what people are going through. Another problem that people find out with reportings or whistleblowing is she failed to differentiate between documented and undocumented workers. Branham publicly alleged that undocumented immigrants were at the construction site, but reports indicate that many of the South Korean workers had proper H-1B work visas. Immigration officials have stated that some of the workers had legal visas, but others had expired visas or were on visa waiver that prohibited them from working. You know what these add towards Branham. There was a political fallout. Yes, the backlash is out there. And as you can see, even in the video, people are calling her out. People are talking about this. The raid has sparked significant backlash against Branham, with some online users accusing her of acting racist or xenophobic motives. Her actions have been tied to former President Donald Trump's anti-immigration rhetorics. And I've just told you, because the same model that she used is the same model that Mr. Donald Trump uses, and this is a public enemy. What do you expect? There's diplomatic repercussions. The South Korean government has confirmed that its citizens were detained. Legal citizens were detained. Disruptions at the facility, of course, it happened. The battery plant, a big investment in the region, saw its workforce and operation disrupted by the raid, making losses. And so, separate from Branham's action, the construction site had other issues. 3 workers had died at the site prior to the raid. These all happened because these ICE raid agents, they don't understand how to handle situations in regards to places that they go. You can go on a battery factory and just ambush people. There are chemicals, there are chloride in those places. And these are things that needs to be handled carefully. And so accidents can happen and all this can happen. Guess what? Branham just lost what she was vying for. That's how she lost her career. So please, brothers and sisters, let me know what you think about this video. I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.